I learned a butt ton from it. So I hope you guys watch the entire video and learn something out of it, guys. Reduce the target's armor by 20%. This is the permanent debuff. Hey everyone, welcome. My name is Seals, and today we're going to be discussing the Idle Heroes PVE Broken Space tier list. So in the last video, if you haven't checked that out, make sure you do so. I went over each of these heroes that you are seeing in terms of their capability to do damage, to wreck the battlefield in broken space in those 15 round fights. This is going to be once again tested at the E5 enable 5 level so that you can see where your heroes lie, if it's worth building for PvE in broken space. This is going to be the list that shows you, especially for you new players out there and you don't know which heroes to save or build. This is going to be that list. In the last video, we talked about only one portion, and today we're going to talk about 4 more portions in the support and the utility, and I'm going to break it down to you. So today we're going to discuss these 4 parts, and in the next video, we're going to discuss the entire list as a whole and how to view it and how to make a PvE broken space lineup. But today, guys, I just want to go over once again the 4 different parts, and we already talked about the first one. Now, since that last video, I did get 2 new patrons to the Patreon family. Thank you so much for your support, and welcome to the team, Pickle2907 as well as Sigurd. And I had to YouTube your name to get the correct pronunciation. Hopefully that was spot on. Anyways, thank you so much for joining the family. Here's a fist bump right at you, fam. Bam. All right, so let's get into today's video. Now, once again, I'm going to transition here and there between the list as well as in-game character sheet to explain why they are placed where they are. All right, so first on up, we're gonna talk about utility. But in terms of the word utility, it's such a broad term, so we're gonna break it down. Which heroes pretty much brings the most damage buffs? So this list just purely lists those heroes that bring the most damage to the entire team, right? So of course, right on top, a lot of you guys have looked at my other list and you're like, why is Heart Watcher at the bottom? That is because we're talking about just pure damage. But which hero brings that damage to the entire group? And while Heart Watcher herself cannot do tremendous amount of damage, but she is gonna be the #1, the gel in the jelly donut that brings the whole team together in terms of multiplying your team's damage potential. That is gonna be Heart Watcher, and we're gonna talk about Heart Watcher in the game. And #2 is gonna be Cruz at tier 1. And Cruz, of course, he has the weaken debuff. Not only that, he also has the armor reduction going for him from his basic attack. We're not going to talk about his heals just yet. That's going to be at the support section. And also from his active attack, he gives a random hero energy, and that can pretty much, you know, give your teammates more damage. All right, for all you new folks out there, Heart Watcher, basically her active attack as well as her basic attack gives Watcher Mark, or people like to call it the Mark debuff. And this debuff ramps up to 300% and it caps right there, and pretty much it makes the target take 300% more damage from all your teammates. So she is gonna be the bread and butter. She's gonna be awesome-tacular and must have for a PvE broken space lineup, especially if your team is designed to go 15 rounds. All right, next on up is gonna be our boy Cruz. And Cruz in PvE in broken space, he also brings this weakened debuff like the Mark from Heart Watcher. This increases damage taken by extra 50%, and it's not a multiplier with Heart Watcher, but it's an additive. So 300 from Heart Watcher plus 15 from Cruz. Now we talked about his basic attack, which does, where is it at? So his basic attack pretty much reduces the armor by 15%. It lasts for 3 rounds. So this can stack up to 2 stacks because it has a limit of 3 rounds. All right, so also from his active attack, we're going a little bit back and forth here, but he increases a random ally's energy by 100%. So this given to a damaged hero like Asmodel, Horus, or, you know, of course Dasmog or whatever, it's gonna pretty much make them do more actives. Rosa brings 20% attack to all your allies, and this is gonna be from his active attack. right? He also has armor reduction as well, armor reduce, armor steal, and armor reduce is not like armor break. Armor break only affects the hero that has that armor break stat, but armor reduce and armor steal removes the armor from your opponents, and that pretty much increases your team's damage. Of course, there's gonna be heroes like Sigmund, and we're gonna talk about that in a soul armor reduction tier as well. So just hang on tight, don't freak out just yet. We're gonna include Sigmund as well. But the armor reduction from Cruz along with Rosa, for example, it's not like the main component of the damage that they bring. It is gonna be the attack buff to all his allies, and it's pretty much gonna be a permanent thing as long as he's not stunned or anything, and he's always gonna do his active, almost every 3 rounds, so it's gonna be up. What about Gurk? Gurk is able to put the 25% holy damage to 3 random allies from his active attack once again, and his 3 random allies. And the cool thing is that it lasts all 15 rounds, so you could have multiple stacks of these. If you're lucky, you can have 5 stacks of them on one hero, your main damage hero, and that would be great. And let's take a look at this chart. So the yellow portion of the chart is where the actives do go off. This is like the bare minimum. Of course, you could have more actives. If you're getting crit upon, you gain more energy that way, or if you have Cruz, or if you're starting with an energy artifact. But this is a standard non-energy, and at the bare minimum, we're gonna have 5 actives at these rounds. So let's go back into the list. We have Gurky giving 5 times 3, so that's gonna be 15, 25% holy damage buffs. But why is Gurk along the same tier with Rosa? Because Rosa brings an attack buff, and there are heroes, especially the max HP heroes, and the max HP portion is tied to the hero's attack percent, and the higher their attack percent, the higher their max HP cap proportion of their damage. So that is why you can favor Rosa's attack buff, or you can, if you're not rocking max HP heroes, which you should be, by the way. If you're not, for example, like multiple scaries, for example, or even Daz Moogs, then the holy damage can scale a little bit better for those heroes. All right, let's move on to tier 2. Tier 2, we have Emily up in there. And why is Emily up in there? Because Emily, unlike Rosa, does not have that armor reduction. They give the same amount of attack buff. And yeah, when Emily, let's check it out in the game. Her last passive, pretty much when she does fall 50%, she does give allies 29% attack for 3 rounds. Would you rather have that than the armor reduction from Rosa that is consistent for all 15 rounds? You decide. If you can design your Emily to proc that courageous 3, like literally the last 3 rounds of the fight, then you're gonna see huge numbers, of course. But that is really hard to design and a lot more inconsistent, and that is pretty much why Emily is gonna be at this tier, along with Belrain as well. Belrain gives more attack, 30%, but it's 4 random allies from her active attack, not all 6. So I'm just gonna tie her along with tier 2 as well. Now let's check out tier 3. You probably saw it like as soon as I opened this list, and it's grayed out. That's because she is not considered an elite hero. You cannot get her from the elite shard. She is a common hero that you can get from just regular 5-star shards. So Karma, let's check it out. Karma, what does she bring to the table? This will surprise you guys. So Karma brings 30% precision to all your allies. Now, it's not going to be as strong as the 20% attack or the 30% attack from Belrain and things like that, but it's still a buff. And Karma is relatively very easy to make, very easy to build, especially in the earlier game. So don't sleep on her. Precision is a thing. It increases your damage, the multiplier, and it caps out at 150%. And 150% precision equals extra 45% damage. All right, not attack, but just damage. We have Michelle at tier 4. What does she bring? Her active attack heals a target with the lowest amount of HP, but along with that, she does give 20% crit. So that's gonna be at tier 4 for Michelle. Next on up, we have the support tier. So support is a general term, once again, like utility. Support here does not mean preventing damage, but it just means just raw healing potential. So that's gotta be my definition to it. So basically a healing chart. And let's start with the honorable mention. from the bottom. So honorable mention is that the E5, enable 5, enable talent, which is going to be the balanced strike. So every time you crit, you gain 15% of that damage into healing. Now, some heroes, it's not always the case, like Asmodeus crit mark. So yes, there are 3 enable skills that increases your healing, but balanced strike, we don't actually lose damage by opting out for this option. So that's why I included the icon. And the reason why it is not number 1 just yet, or especially for the earlier folks out there, it's not number 1, is because in the first couple of rounds you're not critting for that much damage, because your Heart Watcher or Cruise or whatever you got in the other tier list, like I mentioned, they need time to ramp up their debuffs or marks or weakened debuffs, and after that your heroes become self-sustainable, right? So before that, we have these heroes for just pure healing. So there's this huge talk about healing. Is it Ormus or Vesa? For example, that's what I see the most often. The general reply is that, if Vesa for damage, Ormus for healing. And you got to think about it in a bigger, just outside the box. By bringing Ormus, are you able to enter the 3rd wave of Broken Space just by rushing Ormus as your healer? Is Ormus able to let your heroes drop defensive gearing or even enable skills? If the answer is yes, Ormus is actually going to increase your team's damage. He is just a ridiculously reliable healer. Not only does his basic attack have a healing over time, but his last passive can trigger and put rescue marks, but his active attack also puts rescue marks and has a smart heal, healing the lowest HP targets. Right? And he also increases the healing effect or healing boost from his last passive. Active attack heals a target with the lowest amount of HP for 300% and also plants a rescue mark. Ormus's rescue mark for 500%. 500% of his attack. And yes, you're going to be stacking attack on this hero. And basic attack also has healing over time for 3 rounds. So like I said, the last passive, when it procs, not only does it give rescue mark, but also gives healing effect boost by 15% for 3 rounds. This is great stuff. This just makes your team so much more safer and solid, and just you have so much breathing room. You can even drop attack reducers and just, bring Ormus as your boy. Amin-Ra, I made an entire video about Amin-Ra's healing, right? So she's not only able to prevent the damage, but also able to heal them back for the amount of damage that they took with her shield, Guardian Shadow. Now, wave 3 especially, they're gonna hit harder, so you're gonna see more damage prevented as well as more healing. And for the, like I said, guys, when you are E5, you can go for this balanced strike, and a way to let your team survive in the beginning for Heart Watcher and Cruise to ramp up their debuffs is by having Amin-Ra with an energy artifact to prevent those early damage, and also, in return, heal your team as well from the Guardian Shadow. But like I said, there are some, cons to this, especially the 3rd wave of the Abyss, the last boss in the Abyss faction. They shave off both layers. Now, Belrain versus Vesa, I could talk about this for a long time, but I don't want to make it that long. Let's exclude the fact that Belrain has an on-death effect, right, of healing for a buttload. We're just gonna exclude that because we want her to be alive to bring that 30% attack buff, which does stack. And the difference between Belrain and Vesa is that Belrain heals through basic attack, so we're gonna have more basic attacks than Vesa's active attack. And Belrain's basic attack heals for a butt ton, and she has a lot more base attack and a bigger attack multiplier. And Belrain also has an attack buff from her active attack. Same with Vesa. Vesa, when she does her basic attack, she gains attack as well. But then she has to heal through her active attack. It's a burst heal with 70% of attack, turning into 6 rounds of healing over time as well. But why is Belrain considered better while her heals are pretty randomized? Because even if she doesn't heal, she does bring that healing effect boost with her active attack. It also works with, of course, the E3 skill, if you're opting out for that. If you're not and your heroes have some passive heals, then this is gonna pretty much help them a lot. So that's why I'm gonna put Belrain at tier 1. But don't be disappointed because Vesa is tier 1.5. She's like literally right around there. And at tier 2 we have Gurk and Cruz as well. Cruz heals for 20% max HP, which is not dictated by his attack. So you don't have to stack attack on him. He will just heal by the 20% of their max HP, 1/5 of their health, pretty much. That's a lot. But the downside is 2 random targets. So Cruz is like a support hero, right? He's not able to kind of solo heal right now, but his basic attack, and it is tied to his basic attack, so he's gonna do it more often. But it's gonna be 2 random ally heroes for 20% of their max HP. So Gurk or Gurky, the holy entity without a face, he has a hoodie with LED lights coming out, so that's pretty cool. So his active attack does butt ton of damage, but also heals for a lot too. 3 random allies being healed for a butt ton of burst healing. There's no healing over time proportion, and it's through his active attack, which there's going to be a minimum of 5 active attacks, right? So he's going to be once again a support hero. And we have Michelle as well, right? She does have that smart heal where she just puts like a huge lay on hands. If you ever play World of Warcraft, like a paladin's lay on hands, like a direct smart heal to the target with the lowest amount of HP, like Ormus's active attack. All right, so let's move on to another utility tier list. This is gonna be just armor reduction. I'm just gonna be straightforward here and go quickly. We have Sigmund, basic attack, active attack, shaves off armor reduce, right? He's awesome. He's good at that. He's consistent. And also, surprise, surprise, we have Lutz up there as well. So Lutz's basic attack targets the enemy with the lowest HP. It's gonna be against 1 enemy target, and it's gonna reduce the target's armor by 20%. And do you guys notice anything special? This is a permanent debuff, and it also caps out at 7 maximum stacks, because if you have other armor reducers, then he's gonna achieve a total 100% armor reduction before that. So if you have just Lutz alone as an armor reducer, he can cap out with his basic attacks. Once again, this is a little bit better than his active attack because he's gonna do more basic attacks. So Lutz can achieve 100%, whoa, I just bang my keyboard, but 100% armor reduction against 1 target, or you could have it split because he's gonna always go after whoever is low. So if you have like damage dealers going after the top boss and then going back to the bottom, then he's gonna chase those and then lower their armors as well. Armors? Can it be plural? Anyways, so he's gonna do that. So once again, he is not an elite hero and he's easy to obtain. And wow, if you cannot get a Sigmund, I mean, of course, Sigmund has damage tied into his armor reduction. We're going to talk about this in the next video when we're talking about the whole list as a whole. But if you're just going after armor reduction, Lutz is not a bad hero whatsoever. And next on up, we're going to talk about Rosa. And Rosa has a armor reduction tied to his basic attack. Once again, basic attack, that's great. So he's going to do 2 basic attacks. So you're going to have 2 stacks of these. You can see them in my previous, 3 or 4 billion scary videos where I did incorporate Rosa, if you don't believe me, but he can have multiple stacks. So 20% plus 20% is gonna be 40% from Rosa. Rosa is beautiful for PVE, debuffing and buffing your allies. So next on up, we have tier 2. We have Kameth and Barrier. You guys are pretty much surprised. Kameth? People never talk about Kameth in a Broken Space tier list. But this is my list, and we're gonna go in detail, guys. So we're gonna go in detail why Kameth active attack has 30% armor reduction for 3 rounds. 3 rounds, so it's gonna be always up. Barrier is tier 2. He can achieve 50% reduction, but it's only gonna target the bottom hero. That is because basic attack from Barrier is old-fashioned. It's gonna go after the slot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's gonna go after that particular old-fashioned order, and because the Broken Space is backline, the bosses are backline, and the bottom hero is technically, more prioritized in the numerical order, Barrier is gonna remove the armor from the bottom Broken Space boss by 50% because it does stack from his basic attack. And once again, Cruz, he has armor reduction from his basic attack. It stacks just like Rosa, and it's gonna be there like 30% maximum. So Cruz's active attack has an armor steal for 35%, and because there's no frontline targets, he's gonna go after the back line once again, and he's going to remove or steal their armor by 35%, but the downside is it lasts 2 rounds. So it's gonna go away in the third round because he needs to do 2 basics and then do an active in most scenarios, unless there's a cruise or he's getting crit upon to gain more energy back. All right, so that's pretty much why he's in that tier. All right, team, so last on the list is going to be Emily because she does have armor reduction tied to her last passive, 29% reduced when she does fall below 50%, and that only lasts 3 rounds. So that is way too inconsistent and way too short, so she's going to be tier 4. Let's move on to the last tier list, and this is going to be the attack reduce tier list. So why is Valkyrie at the god tier? So team, as you're seeing, this is a chart made by Superhill 10 months ago on my Discord, and he posted this to show the attack reduction through Valkyrie's active attack and her basic attack. So this is a total of 35%, right? There's the 37% peak, but it's going to be consistent 35.4%. We're just going to round it down to 35% attack reduction. That is why Valkyrie is going to be number 1. So Jara and Karim, they are able to consistently reduce attack by 30%. Karim has a 30% attack steal tied to his active, and it lasts for 3 rounds. And Jara, her basic attack that lasts for 3 rounds, can attack steal by 15%. And of course, she can have multiple stacks of these. And because it lasts 3 rounds, yeah, you get my point, right? So Heartwatcher, why is she not tier 1 alongside with Jara and Karim? Yeah, she doesn't have 30% attack reduction or steal or whatever you want to call it, but still, she does 25%, and that is because it only lasts 2 rounds, right? So it's gonna drop off, and that's the only reason, and you know, no hard feelings. That's why she's at tier 1.5, very close. ODO1 and Scary. ODO1 has attack reduction, right? And Scary has an attack steal. ODO1, 11%, Scary, 10%, both tied to the basic attacks, and it stacks up. So it's over 20%. And I know, team, you're surprised, right? You're surprised why Sia and Mim is at tier 2. Sia, 40% on paper looks great against single targets, right? It also degrades over rounds. It also goes down by 10%, so 40 to 30 to 20. Yeah, Zeals, but that's still great. You're right. But there's 2 targets in broken space, and as you are seeing in the chart, where is the chart at? So if Sia is reducing the attack of the lower boss, right? We gotta wait until round 5 until the top boss, because she's gonna go after the one with the highest amount of attacks. So she's gonna reduce the bottom one, and then she has to go after the top one. So at round 5, she reduces that, and then round 8, she's gonna reduce the bottom one, and by then, the top dude is just, you know, back to full normal. That is why we have Mim and Sia up in tier 2. And we have at tier 3, Ice Blink, when he takes damage. The heroes that take damage and then reduce the attack afterwards, it's kind of ineffective because we're losing almost a round. Because basically, when your heroes are able to steal or remove attack through their attacks, they're able to do it before the boss's attack. But when bosses have to attack Ice Blink and Gru to get the attack reduction, then the hit is already done. And for Gru, his attack reduction is 2 rounds. It says 2 rounds, but the heroes that take damage to reduce attack, it's only 1 round, right? Only 1 round, so 15% attack. Just think about it, guys. So there's no attack reduce going on, and then it hit Gru, but then it's hitting Gru for the full damage. And then after that, there's the attack reduction. In the next round, with that 15% reduction, the boss is going to attack again. And then after hitting Gru, the boss will gain 30%. But then the next round, the third round, the first stack will fall off because it lasts 2 rounds. And so it's only 15% attack reduction. So if they're not breaking into the 20% territory, they're at tier 3. Mickey and Emily surprisingly has precision reduction, and wave 3 bosses in broken space has precision, so it's going to provide mitigation. And last on up, we have Rosa, and his active attack does have attack reduction, and don't let that fool you guys. 15% is still decent. These heroes tier 3, while they seem low, they're still doing a great job. We have an honorable mention of Mirage and Faceless. They're not in the elite sharp pool, but their basic attack targets the hero or the opponent with the lowest amount of HP, and they're going to reduce their attack, right? So it's going to be against 1 target, so that's why they're in the honorable mention, right? So these are the heroes that bring attack reduction. And now this is, oh man, it's already been a long video, but I hope you guys watched it and learned something out of it. I had a long, fun journey making this video, but it's not over. There's a part 3 where I tie this all in and talk about team composition, team building. And again, while I had to open the entire hero pool and read their active and basic and passives over and over and recheck out my testing and things like that, cross-referencing things, I learned a butt ton from it. So I hope you guys watched the entire video and learned something out of it, guys. Anyways, team, that's gonna be it for today. That was really long already. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button, right? And if you want anything else like team composition, if you're all down for that, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, leave a comment below once again, and consider subscribing to your boy. It really helps out the channel. I want to be playing multiple games and covering Idle Heroes. I'm actually really tempted to make a new account for Idle Heroes as well, so that's all coming, and I have so many things to work on, so much content. So once again, thank you guys for joining me today, and make sure you share the video and subscribe once again. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.